Fantastic. Right. Just having a bit of technical problems, but hello everyone. I'm just double checking this is working. So we are streaming, but we're not streaming on the stream I was expecting to. It started a new one off. So all that means is some people might be waiting on the old stream, wondering where we are. But I've left them a message in the chat, so hopefully they know. So I say this before whenever we have technical problems, but it reminds me of lockdowns when I first started regularly using streaming services and not succeeding. Welcome to Guitar Builders Collective. I'm Daniel. We've got Mark here, who you'll know, and we've joined by a new face, Stuart from Elgol Guitars. Hi, Stuart. Welcome.
Hello, good to be with you.
Yeah, fantastic. Listen, I'm going to tell everyone why you're here in a minute, the Jurg's Cup. But first of all, where are you dialing in from?
Well, bizarrely, I'm not joining in from Elgol. So the name's a bit deceptive. Elgol's where I was born and brought up, but we live just off the Isle of Skye at the moment in a little place near Plockton, if you've ever heard of that part of the world.
I have a very good friend who I went to secondary school with, and for most of secondary school, and in fact, until maybe 5 or 6 years ago, he would go every year to Skye with his family. But I don't know Plockton. Is that...
Plockton's lovely, but it's on the mainland, and I'm just a few miles out from there, but still very much consider Skye to be home, and especially Elgol. It's where my family's been there for literally hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's very much home, and so that's why I based everything on Elgol Guitars.
So look, hopefully there's people watching us from all around the world. Can you give us a bit more info for people that don't know Skye? Whereabouts is it? What is it? Where is Elgol on it?
Sure. Well, the Isle of Skye, a lot of people know of Skye. I think these days, especially in other countries, so many people have gotten into things like Outlander, you know, the kind of slightly racy drama series that everyone wants to now come and visit the Highlands of Scotland. And the Isle of Skye is, and I am slightly biased, but genuinely is the kind of jewel in the heart of Scotland. I work here as a tour guide, and all the tour guides from other parts of Scotland kind of envy those of us who are actually from Skye, because it's where all of their clients want to visit anyway. Elgol's a little village in the south of the island. It has outstanding views over the ocean out to the Cuillin Mountains. Yeah, you can get a boat trip from there. Misty Isle boat trips, where my father's been doing the boat trip since 1967, and my brother and various family members still run that today. So Elgol's a lovely little village, very quiet, very small village. So yeah, used to the rural life out here.
Amazing. Very different to Texas, I'm sure, Mark.
For sure.
Yeah, I have my daughter is studying in Inverness, and she has a good friend who is also 20, a guy JP. He's from near Austin, and it's great to, we have a great time whenever he's overstaying, and just that kind of such a different culture, such a different place. But I don't know how many times you could fit the Isle of Skye in the map of Texas, but I imagine a lot.
And it's a big state.
Yeah.
But we're all brought together, even though across the world, across different states, by guitar building. I was saying to Stuart off air, because Stuart's relatively new to the sort of community, the part of the Jurg's Cup. But what I'm enjoying at the moment is meeting people that I haven't met before, either online, like on the stream that we're doing weekly, or through the Facebook group for the Jurg's Cup, or Instagram. There's just so many people that seem to be either new to building or have been building a while, but are sort of finding the community and engaging with each other and supporting each other. It's fantastic. So, Stuart, how long have you been working on guitars? How did you get into guitars? What's your guitar history?
I've been playing. I've been strumming guitar in a kind of like on and off in a church or youth group setting for like 20 something years, maybe 30 years, for a long time. And the extent of that is knowing G, C, E minor, and D. I'm not kidding. That's pretty much what I've done. And, you can work around pretty much anything with that. And I would go through months without playing at all, and then I'd pick it up for an event or something. But about just under 2 years ago, Christmas last year, my son had been, my younger boy had been given some money, which he normally would just go and spend on video games. And I suggested to him, why don't you get something decent? You've got a decent amount of money, buy something. And he was looking for suggestions. And the first thing that came to my mind was, well, what about an electric guitar? So I went with him to Gear for Music, and we found the cheapest Strat copy. I shouldn't say Strat copy these days. Don't want to get controversial, but this cheapest Strat type guitar, £70. And the day that arrived in the post and I picked it up, I knew I had to buy an electric guitar and have a try at learning some scales or learning something. So that was January last year. I bought a PRS, the cheapest PRS I could find. Reading reviews, it seemed to be the best in terms of quality and value for money. And I loved it. And basically ever since then, it's just my personality. When I get into something, I get fully into it. So that led to me thinking, well, I've got to find everything out about guitar, not just play it and learn it. That led me to channels like Phil McKnight on the Know Your Gear channel, which I think he's got a lot to answer for. If my wife ever got hold of him, he's the cause of our financial downfall. But watching Phil's channel, suddenly that opens up worlds of things like upgrading guitars, tinkering with them. And then, of course, building guitars was an inevitable thing I was going towards. And so I eventually started building guitars at the end of January this year. And I'm currently on my 4th build, which is the Jurg's Cup build, which is also the worst one to date.
Well, I've been watching the videos. I don't know why it's the worst, but you've definitely been experimenting on it, which we'll get onto in a minute. And could that be why you think it's the worst? Because the burning things, for example.
I think it's just a case of this is the one where I've kind of felt I know what I'm doing. And so I've spent a lot of time in the different experimental aspects, and then made some huge fundamental mistakes in terms of how the thing fits together. So at the moment, one of the things I've put up videos about is how I've misshaped the neck, and so it doesn't quite go right onto the body. Then I went back and discovered actually what I've done wrong is I've cut the neck pocket slightly wrongly in the wrong place. So it's actually the body that's, and they think, well, no point in restarting the neck. So in one sense, if I was going to, I would love to restart the whole thing, but it was such a slow process because of how it's built and so on. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to finish it and call it a good learning experience.
Do you know, it may be just me, but I really enjoy when something's gone wrong, problem solving, how to fix it, make it work.
Yeah.
Until that becomes like the entire project, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, as I often say, like, if something goes wrong and you problem fix it and make it work, sometimes the problem fixing comes up with a solution that's more eloquent or interesting or different to what was there originally, and you maybe build that into your next build to do it that way, to make it different to someone else, so it's not just a Fender or whatever.
Well, a perfect example of that, the neck. This is, if I can reach this without falling. When I was building the neck, I posted a video. I drilled the holes. I can't even remember now exactly what I'd done wrong, but I drilled the holes for the fret dots slightly too large. And I was looking for advice on what to do. And someone suggested getting brass tubing and doing wider holes, put the brass tubing in, and then to fill that with wooden dowels. And so that's what I've done. And to be honest, I absolutely love the effect of that, but I would never have dreamt of doing it if I hadn't have made all the blunders in drilling the holes too big. So yeah, there's been a huge amount of things that I've learned for the next build. I think my problem at the moment is that having done 4 builds this year, the first build I thought, oh great, there's all these mistakes, now I'll learn from them, and the second build will be perfect. The second build had dozens of new mistakes, and of course the third one, dozens of new, and then the fourth. So it's just coming to terms with the fact that it's not going to be the easy process that I didn't expect it to be easy, but you expect maybe not to make the same mistakes again and again.
I was going to ask, is it different mistakes or the same mistakes?
It's different mistakes each time. Yeah, completely different mistakes.
Yeah. If you're making the same mistake, you're not learning. Making different mistakes, it's fine, I think.
Sure,
that's what I think,
sure.
Anyway. You know, like the Scott from Bonehead Guitars used to come on quite regularly. We occasionally interviewed acoustic guitar builders, and he would make a comparison that acoustic guitar builders are like Leonardo and electric guitar builders are like Neanderthals and Stone Age man, because there's obviously skill involved, but the skill level is so different. And one of the great things I find about electric guitars is if you make a mistake, there's often a way to resolve it, and it can still work, which I enjoy. Hey, so look, I'll quickly mention the Jurg's Cup, and then we'll get back to Stuart here. I'm sure most of you that are watching know all about the Jurg's Cup, and what I'll do is I'll just hit here, Jurg's Cup up there, the jurgscup.com. That's where most of the info is. But essentially, this is the 4th year of doing a community build along. This is the first year where it's sort of a proper competition, although that competition's just sort of secondary. The whole point of it is to get people to build guitars and sort of build the community as well. So to chat to each other, to support each other. If by November, when the deadline reaches, you haven't finished building your guitar, it doesn't matter. You can keep going. You don't have to just stop when the time runs out. But if you have finished at that point, there's going to be some prizes that Corey from All Good Guitars, Mick from Mix Guitars, and Paul from Milehouse Studios are going to be awarding. And there are a range of different things, tools and bits and bobs that you can use for making guitars. But the celebration is really just in the community, looking at what we've done. And if you want to take part, you can take part just by setting up a profile on jurgscup.com and buying a bit of merch or giving a little bit of money to charity. There are people as well following along on the Facebook group, which is growing and growing, who aren't building guitars, but just want to be part of the community because they love building guitars and they love watching people build guitars, and they just want to talk about it and support each other. So don't feel pressured. Even if you've never built a guitar before, this might just be a bit of an excursion. And if you don't finish it, that is what seems to happen with most people in the Jurg's Cup. There's still some people that are building this one from 2 years ago, they haven't finished, but they're sharing as they go along and people are supporting them. So that's great. And it's the Jurg's Cup. It's named after Jurgen Zoller, who was, I was telling Stuart, it was during lockdown when I first sort of became part of the Guitar Builders Collective, which was an online community that built up through people following each other through Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, partly because of a competition that was running at the time from Crimson Guitars. And he was just very, very active in that, commenting on everyone's videos, helping build the community. And when he passed away, Corey from All Good Guitars wanted to do something in his memory. So having a community build along seemed perfect. And this year there is a theme, but that's just a guideline. You don't have to follow it. But the theme is guitar heroes. So build a guitar somehow inspired by your guitar hero. And Stuart, you sort of know your guitar hero. Did you know him?
It's a big sort of. I met him on several occasions, but yeah, I think we used to play with his kids and that kind of thing, and swim in his pool. He was very kind and letting the locals use his pool. Yeah.
So tell us who he is.
Yeah. So tonight, Matthew, I'm going to yeah, Jethro Tull, Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. He's the front man, the guy standing on one foot playing the flute, and he owned the big chunk of land that used to belong to my clan many years ago, and then it went to private ownership, and Ian Anderson bought that in the late 70s and owned that land until the mid 90s. and he lived just about 3 miles from us. And yeah, he was a great guy. He was a good good landlord, quite popular in the area. Wrote a lot of songs. If you listen back to Jethro Tull's old songs, you'll find a lot of references to the Skye and the Halsh area.
All right.
And the kind of ones you just don't notice, and references to things like the crofting system of farming around here and land ownership, and just things you would never dream of, and you would hear the lyrics and not get until you've actually visited here. So it's my job, which is as a tour guide doing private driving tours around the island. I meet a lot of Americans who are huge Jethro Tull fans.
Right.
So when they find out that we're driving through some of the land, and I point out that was his old house and so on, they're very excited. And yeah, so I've put him down slightly tentatively. I suppose part of it was, he's not known as a guitarist, although he's a fantastic guitarist. In fact, I think the reason he's quoted as saying the reason he started to learn the flute is because he looked at other bands and he saw such amazing guitarists. He said, well, I'm never going to be that, so I'll try something else. But when you hear him play guitar, he's fantastic. So it just that's he's always been a kind of presence in the back of my mind. My parents used to get us albums of his each year as kids because it was Ian's albums. But sadly, at the time he was here and we would see him around, I had absolutely no interest in his music. And it's only really, I would say, this last couple of years since I discovered guitars that I've been a huge Jethro Tull fan. So kind of wish I was at the time.
Amazing. So what does that mean for your guitar that you're building? Is it based on a particular guitar he had, or is there something that you're doing on it that somehow references Jethro Tull?
It's so, as I said, that's very tentative.
That doesn't matter.
It was kind of a looking, thinking, oh, who could I? I'd love to say that the hero came first, and then I kind of followed it up by how I could base it on him. But it was more trying to think of someone. So I think in one sense, I'm trying to make it as local and as Highland and as interesting to the area as possible. So part of that is that the guitar is built from whiskey barrel oak. So the wooden staves that make up a barrel, they're very curved around. I've actually got a couple of the things from the stages. It's a very small piece of the end of one, but a whiskey barrel stave looks like this. It's beautiful oak in the middle, but it's completely charred all around it, so to add to the flavor of the whiskey. But if you can imagine, these things have been storing whiskey. In fact, they've probably been storing bourbon in America for however many years, and then they're sent over here and they're charred and they're used to store whiskey for maybe 20, 30, 40 years. So they're saturated with this beautiful Scottish history and this beautiful Scottish whiskey. And then what I do is then steam them. I've built a steam box. I'm completely new to building things, but I built a steam box and then steamed them because they're normally very curved, and then straightened them and then planed off all the charring. And this is a piece of oak. Just I've got a store off it now. Oops, sorry, just figured the right way to do it. This is a piece of oak that was once storing whiskey, and this has been straightened and just taken right back to the beautiful oak underneath.
It's amazing. I love it. I'm assuming it's lost any smell of whiskey in it. Are you going to
almost completely
the guitar in whiskey?
The great fun part of the build was the steaming process and then the planing of the wood. Honestly, the smell, I do everything. My workshop is a little caravan that's about 5 meters long and maybe 2.5 meters wide. And I've made it into a workshop, and the smell in here was just incredible because you've got the smell of the whiskey, the smell of the charring, and the smell of the oak. And all of that combined, when I did my first batch, I've kept 3 big black bin bags full of the shavings because they smell so amazing.
Amazing.
And I'm convinced, I can't think what to do with it, but I'm convinced there's got to be some way of using that smell, whether making them into some kind of candle or something, but it's just really lovely atmosphere to work in.
I haven't
Isn't
got it
that like the
handy.
one sense that we don't use as guitar builders? Like we use our hands, touch, sight, feel, sound, but scent is the one that we don't really incorporate into guitar building. And it's a shame because, honestly, like just recently I've been playing around with very fragrant woods because they're from fruit trees. And I got my hands on some olive wood, and you think olive wood wouldn't smell, but it smells so fragrant. And I got my hands on some strawberry briar. It smells like perfume. And it's a shame because like most wood does have a great smell. Like oak smells good, mahogany smells good, but they're not fragrant like perfume, like fruit woods are. And it's a shame that we don't incorporate that into guitar building.
I've got to say that there's a I can't remember how many years ago it was. I think it was before lockdown. I made a video where I took 12 different lemon oils or fretboard oils and compared them. And my favorite one was not necessarily, I mean, a lot of them were really good. So they're all comparable. But the way I picked my favorite one was on the smell. Because the smell just made it stand out. And it was from Axe Wax. And it had I think he called it candy smell. But I now use lots of Axe Wax products on my guitars before I send them out. So some of their waxes, but I've had to use their one that's more of their original smell because I had a few people query the smell when it came in. I love it. They didn't.
No, same here. Music Nomad makes a guitar polish that smells like. There was this toy in the 1980s. It was a girl's toy called Strawberry Shortcake, and it was like a doll that smelled like strawberries. And you might be thinking, "Hey, Mark, how do you know what that toy smelled like?" I don't know, but like it smells just like strawberry shortcake. So Music Nomad guitar polish.
Nice. Hey, so but I think Chris at Axe Wax, he makes custom products for people as well, and he makes scented waxes depending on what you want. I wonder if he can embed your smell in a wax, a guitar wax.
He definitely wouldn't want to embed my smell in there, but yeah.
The smell of your shavings.
Sure.
Is that any better?
I saw the comment I think you linked up. Someone said about you could charge people to come to the steaming process. I have to say there were some nights after I've been like when you're steaming this stuff and then you straighten it up and then you go, when I walk back into the house, I think, am I still walking in a straight line? How much of this whiskey have I absorbed through this process? Because it's incredible. The liquid that comes off it is just brown.
Yeah, I know some people that just made something with a whiskey barrel that they bought in and it came with whiskey still in the bottom. Yeah. So I wanted to go back to something you said about your workshop, because that's one of the things I noticed in your videos, how cool it looks. Like, it's great. It's absolutely great watching people on YouTube in their workshops. I love seeing the backgrounds and watching what they've got. But a lot of people have very similar looking workshops and yours stands out as just looking different. So what was the history behind it?
What happened, we've got 4 kids, and my older daughter was working with my grandparents on the boat trips in Elgol. So this caravan was based in Elgol for a few years. We bought her this so that she could stay there for a few nights of the week and have somewhere she could have a bit of room for herself. And then she decided that she was finished with it and she would just stay in the house with my parents. And all of this was just happening around the time, probably around last December. And I had been trying to think through all the different possibilities of where I could build a guitar. I thought of the spare room in the house, and my wife wasn't particularly keen on that idea for very good reason. And then eventually I thought, well, why don't I take the caravan? And I brought it here in the thick snow one winter. We towed it over here, and I just completely gutted it. I took, in fact, where I'm sitting just now is like halfway between where the shower and the bedroom are. And I took everything off. The great thing about it is that it's got fitted cupboards on the tops, which have been very useful. There's a lot of bits of it I've been able to reuse and repurpose. So that, like the shelf behind me, I've just done this about a week or maybe 2 weeks ago now. That was part of, there was a folding in bunk bed up here. And I ripped that out and I took some of it and put it back in as a big shelf. And yeah, it's actually been a great space to use. So I'd encourage anyone, if you need an office and you don't, you want one that's movable, which doesn't really matter to me, you can usually pick up a very cheap little caravan and they can be made to work.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I'm in a purpose-built sort of workhouse, which is a workshop, which is like one of the garden studios. And there's so many companies now that make garden studios, and they're all quite high. Like they're not cheap. You can get packs and DIY it yourself, which is easier, I guess, than building one from scratch and buying all the wood in. But even that, it's not cheap. And I'd never considered this idea of buying a caravan and using a caravan.
It's great. It needs a bit of adapting. Certainly, there's even getting power into it. I've just ripped out its own power supply because it was all, it's made for a caravan. It's, I don't know, 18 volt or whatever, and battery inputs. So I just got rid of all that, and I've put a separate extension in, and everything's plugged into that. So yeah, I love it, and it's a place that I've left where I am just now. This is the end of what was the bedroom. And I've left it as a nice, comfortable place where I've got my actual guitars and amps.
Yeah.
And I can pull a curtain right across here, and it keeps the dust away from that place. And then I've always got this little cozy place for just sitting and playing and getting away from the kids, or being thrown out of the house by the kids, probably more likely. And I can keep my guitar noise out here, and then I can do the rest of the work in what's left of the caravan.
I'm so jealous, Stuart. That is the best part of, like, I think about the same thing. Like, I wish my shop had just a nice, comfortable chair to play guitar.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want. A corner, like you have, like some books maybe in the background, just a nice little corner to play guitar. And I don't have that, but it's a great idea. I think every shop should have something like that.
Yeah. I've got this bit where I am now. This desk here is where I do all my setup work, and I used to have a curtain that went across, and it didn't really work well enough. But I used to work for an artist who had a studio with a little office in it. So it was like a bigger room with a little office in, and that's where he had his sofa, basically. When I went to visit Paul at Minehouse Studios, he's got his basement, the Fritzels, where he's got like a little area he can play guitar, and that is removed from the dust from upstairs. That having that little separate element makes it very different. Makes it such a different space, and it's not something you hear people talking about a lot when they're talking about what works in a workshop. But I think it's important.
Yeah. And it means I can keep everything guitar related out here. And if I'm working on something, like I was swapping out an output jack in a guitar for, like, well, it's one I'm getting ready to sell, just a secondhand guitar, but I suddenly thought, I better check before I put this all back together. Because I swapped the pickup as well. I thought, do the electrics work? And well, the amp's there, and I just connect a cable, and everything guitar related is here, and it keeps it out of the house. And I love it. It's the kind of space I think I wish I'd had this all my life. I have a lot of very jealous friends and family.
Hey, I'm going to talk to you about YouTube in a minute, but occasionally I look back on my old YouTube videos when people comment on them, and I notice how different my workshop is because, and I'm going to use you as an example, you've got a bookshelf with a few books on it. I imagine in a couple of years that bookshelf will slowly be filling up with things, and you've got these very neat cupboards and a couple of drawers. I imagine things are going to slowly change in that space, but look a bit different in some way. And I love that. How it's like when your children are growing older, you don't notice their changes, but when you see your friends' kids that you don't see regularly, you see them every 6 months, you suddenly notice they're different, right? And it's that sort of thing. You don't notice your workshop changing, but because of YouTube, you suddenly get this memory, and you're like, I remember when that wall was plain, or when only had 5 chisels or whatever it
It's
was.
like a historical
Yeah.
archive.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have another 3 books on the way as we speak, but they're coming from Stu Max in America, so it'll probably be here like another month or so. But very exciting.
Hey, if anyone's got any contacts with Stu Mac, my book's about to be published. I'm trying to get it with them as well. So just a little bit of our self-publicity there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what have you got in your workshop? Because I saw in one of your videos your little steaming area. That's all
Yeah.
that somehow is that a permanent thing, or is that something that's going to be stored somewhere else?
Yeah, it's not. I've moved that out now. I kept it there for a while, but the good thing is I can stick that out. There's the house we rent has a little kind of greenhouse outside, and I've put that out there because it's quite large. It's way bigger than it really needed to be for what I'm doing. So that's out, but most of the other tools, I actually, part of it is that at the moment I've slightly not repurposed, but well, yeah, repurposed. One of the great things about it being a caravan is there's a lot you can do in terms of changing it. So until a couple of weeks ago, there was a little wall coming out here, dividing between the bathroom and the bedroom. So I decided to start making some YouTube videos, and I removed the wall, flipped it back, and temporarily have kind of moved some of the tools over just to give me a bit more of a working space here for making videos. But yeah, at the end of it, I've got a lot of things. I've got like sanders and routers and one of these the saws that's name I can't remember, the
plunge
saw thing.
Oh, the table saw, circular saw, plunge saw. Everyone calls them different track saws.
Bandsaw, that kind of, yeah.
Right.
And drill press, and I've got a planer there and stuff. So,
Brilliant.
and I've even got right under where the laptop's sitting just now, I've got a dog bed, and my dog spends a lot of time out here with me as well. If I start playing guitar, he starts looking to get out, but I don't take offense.
Excellent. I recently we've had Jack from JC Guitars on before, and I recently went to visit his workshop, and he's also got a dog bed under his desk at one end, and he's also actually got a workshop that's full of tools, but one end is like the computer setup. That's where the dog sits.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does. I mean, I don't have pets, but it does seem like a thing to have. A space to have for your dog. It's just company, right?
Why don't you have pets,
being
Daniel?
a guitar builder.
Why don't you have any pets?
I don't know what it's like in America. Pets are not cheap in the UK. I mean, we've got 5 fish, if that helps.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark,
I've got one I can give you.
I'll come and collect it. It'd be a nice trip. Now, Mark's got his robot Hoover, his robot vacuum that goes around.
Yes, it is like a pet. Yeah.
I was out the other day. We live near the sea, and there's a marina, and the marina's got like a couple of cafes and a fountain around near where the main bit where all the ships or the yachts and stuff park up, moor up. And I was trying to think of the word then, and I just saw this thing going past. Couldn't work out what it was, and it was a little cleaner, but it was quite big, really. But like a small shopping trolley going past that was just cleaning around the marina. And it's got someone's taken a photo of a cat and put a big cat's face on the front of it, and it just sort of rolls around cleaning at its own pace. It's quite weird. Quite like it. Oh, look, total tangents there. Stuart, why are you doing YouTube? What made you want to do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think partly because I've benefited so much myself from YouTube. Initially, there's no way I would have done YouTube videos because, you kind of can think, well, isn't it a bit arrogant? Here I am, I don't really know very much, and what have I got to offer? And I think what I realized through what I was benefiting from most myself is that what I've got to offer is my lack of experience, and my lack of knowledge, and the fact that I am at a beginning level. We were talking, Daniel, about this before we came on. I spent, long story, but I spent about 29 years as a preacher, and what seems almost feels like a previous life. It's I've had quite a big turnaround and things since then, so it's not really part of my life anymore. But during that time, I was always very aware that when I was preaching or teaching, obviously at that stage it was about the Bible, that there were so many things that we who were immersed in that world took for granted that everyone else understood what we were saying. So we would use terms and words and phrases that are used amongst our friends all the time, and no one else had a clue what we were talking about. So I tried to make my teaching help others to understand that, and I guess that's what I want to do in the guitar community. You know, I benefited a lot from a podcast where a guy was just sitting with his teacher, and it very openly and with a lot of vulnerability making mistakes and learning from them for my benefit. And I really did benefit from it. And it made me realize that others can benefit not just from expertise, but from someone who is really hungry for more knowledge in my own personal quest for that. So in a sense, what I'm offering, the tagline for my YouTube channel, it's Elgol Guitars. Sadly, I've gone and started with a tagline that is impossible to say. Every time I start a video, I have to say it about a dozen times before I manage. But Elgol Guitars, I bill as being a skint, lousy beginner guitarist's guide to guitars, gear, and lutherie. It just trips off the tongue. And that's what it is. It's coming at things. For example, I just got a tube amp. I sold an old amp, got a tube amp, and I thought, wouldn't it be interesting? Well, maybe it wouldn't, but for me, I thought, well, I'm going to make anyway a video about what's it like for someone who's literally never heard or never touched or seen, in, as far as I know, a tube amp. Will I notice a difference between this and a solid state or a modular? So it's trying to, I think over these last 2 years, again, my personality makes me just want to learn everything. My learning is way ahead of my experience. Terrible at playing. I've hardly picked up any other guitars other than literally the ones that I've made. Like, I've never tried a Fender. I've never tried a Gibson. I've tried one PRS. It's the one I've got. So I think everything experientially is completely new to me, and I thought I'd just document it and hopefully help others through it.
Well, that is definitely a unique perspective for sure.
Yeah, and I'm clearly, from your background and also your current job doing the tour guiding, you're very good at communicating. So they're very enjoyable to watch. What I quite like, though, is that there feels like there's a personal story. At least in the videos of I haven't watched all your videos, but in the ones I have watched, there's a personal story that seems to be telling in them. Not just in the workshop itself, the connection to your guitar heroes, the way you're building. Yeah, it's great. When I first started watching YouTube, like properly following people, one of the ones I followed was someone called April Wilkinson, who's a sort of DIY person, and she started making videos for a similar reason. She wanted to give back to the community. She learnt some things from YouTube, learnt some things from elsewhere, and wanted to make videos about that. And I think that's like the best way to be part of a community. It's not an arrogant thing; it's a great thing. And yeah, and when you get that personal story from it, it's excellent. I'd love to see what happens in the future if you do end up playing a Fender and blah blah blah, or whether you just stick to what you're making. Why do you need to play with those other ones?
Well, I mean, you listen to all these gear channels, and I feel like I know every type of guitar out there. Obviously not, but I you know so much about them. I know what scale length these guitars have, and what neck profile, and what pickups they use, and all of these things. How many winds are in this pickup? The kind of stuff you think, well, I know all of that. I've just never played any of them. I have no idea what difference it makes. And I've thought recently there's several strands of videos that I have planned to make. One of them is what's what in the guitar world, where I'll take something like a terminology or something like the examples I used in the video was, you watch a video and someone will say, what you need as a rhythm guitarist is to develop good pocket. Great. What is that?
I love it. It's back to what you were saying before about the terminology that people have in the worlds they're part of, that you assume everyone else understands, which they don't. You have to, I think you have to assume everyone knows nothing and start from there. But it's that's sorry, I've interrupted you, but I think that's brilliant. That's great.
No, I mean, I think there are some places that, like the majority of things I watch, it's very much things for people who know a lot, and that's great. There's a place for that. I look at the likes of, I watch someone like Phil McKnight because I know that this guy really knows what he's talking about. I like to learn from an expert. And I watch someone like Tim Pierce because I like to learn from someone who is an incredible guitarist and an incredible teacher. But I also like to learn from someone like that podcast I mentioned, where it's just a guy learning to play with his teacher. So I think it's amazing. Everyone's got something to offer. My channel will never be one of these things that will be a big channel as such, but it's something that will hopefully, for a small section of people, will be helpful and will be a journey we can kind of go on together.
Look, for anyone that's watching, there will be in the video description a link to Stuart's channel, but because of that technical problem we had at the beginning, I've got to re-upload all the information to it. So I'll do that. But also one thing I'll do, Stuart, is I'll send you a link to be a collaborator. But annoyingly, with live streams, you can't do it straight away. You've got to wait like a day or 2 days before you do that. So wait for that. But that means anyone watching this would instantly see the link once that happens. I'm going to be really terrible and say 2 things. This is so unprofessional. I'm trying to keep these to 45 minutes, but my battery is just failing. I don't know what's happened. It's suddenly gone down to 2%. So I might cut out. Oh no.
No problem at all.
Do it. We've done 45 minutes, which is perfect. We can go and look at your YouTube channels, see your journey. It's been great talking to you. Please listen. I say this to everyone that comes on. Please feel free to come back. So if I'm rubbish at inviting you, just mention in the Facebook groups and things like that. I loved it. I'd love to come back on. If anyone else is watching that's building something for the Youth Cup wants to come on, please let me know. We'd love to have you.
Great.
Stuart.
And thank you like you and the rest of the guys who organize all the Jurg's Cup and the Guitar Builders Collective. It's much appreciated, and I find it such an encouraging community. I'm part of Facebook groups where people ask a simple question and people put up all the laugh emojis. I find that very frustrating. What I love about this community is I genuinely feel I can say anything and people will help and encourage. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, and having people like you making videos adds to that level of help as well. So thank you for that as well. Great. So listen, we're going to be here again next Friday. But then I think from September, we're going to move it to Monday just to make it easier for everyone. It's hard. It's hard sometimes to get people together on a Friday night. So thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone that's watching, everyone that's commented. And I see there's some new people in the live stream as well. So thanks for that. All right. Till next time. Happy strumming. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.